G'day Will, I thought I'd give you a quick video just to illustrate the gamut and the luminosity and all. You're saying that you don't understand what this means. If we have a look at the profiles output, what it can do with that particular paper is this axis here is luminance, so this is how close it can get to producing pure white. This is how close it can get to producing pure black, and you'll see if we look from the top you've got all of these colors. One of the things that's interesting is that the further you go away from the center, the more saturated the color is, and this is what a profile does. So this is a Ilford Gold Mono Silk, and this is how deep the color is, how light the color is, and how saturated. So the further out, the more saturated. So this is the Gold Mono Silk, but if I drop in the two that I showed you, one of them is the Aquarelle Rag. Now I'll turn that on. You can see it's nowhere near black. It's just unable to produce those. It's the same with the whites. It produces a reasonable white, but if we have a look around, these colors just aren't able to saturate out into the blues especially. It's got a reasonable saturation for the yellows. So as you come down into the depth of color, in luminance I should say, various profile paper combinations will produce different outputs. So that's the Aquarelle Rag. I'll turn that off and I'll bring up the other one, which is the let me see, here's the Museo Portfolio. JMP. There it is there. So again, you can see it just doesn't have very good black. It's not able to go that far, you know, sort of like greys, and that's about it. It gets reasonably good for the whites, and again it's got a reasonable saturation for the yellows right at the right near the top in luminosity. But when it comes down to the actual volume, if I turn that on, and I'll turn it on to a Y-frame, you can see that the Mono Silk can produce much more saturated colors. It can produce much darker blacks, and it can produce more saturated colors the deeper you go. So yeah, surface finish is just one of the things to consider. I certainly understand gloss versus matte papers, but some images like here, depending on the image, the matte paper may be perfect, but other images where you've just got straight black and whites, you really want to punch them up, and this is the sort of paper that would do it. The trade-off is the finish, but if you want to stick to a matte, well, the trade-off is just much lower contrast. Hope that explains it anyway. Catch ya.